Hi folks, I thought I'd do a review on the AFAM chain riveting tool because I couldn't find much online about this or on YouTube. And what prompted me to investigate it was the chain that I've got, AFAM chain 520, uses hollow rivets. And the chain breaking tool that I've got, which is a whale chain breaker, which I highly recommend, it's rather expensive, and I managed to borrow this off a friend, but it is excellent. It's heavy duty and it will take the pin out of your chain without having to use a disc basically to grind the heads off. You see these here when you want to break a chain normally, you'd grind with an angle grinder those heads down flush, and then you'll see on other internet or other videos from YouTube people using a hand tool to actually drive the rivet. That's one way of doing it. You don't have to do that with this tool. It really is quite fantastic. But the only thing is it's only good then for riveting solid pins, and on the AFAM you can see they are, sorry about the focus, are hollow, and so you need a hollow riveting tool. And I found this at a shop, Bike Talk Racing, but I'm sure you can get them anywhere. And it did the job very, very well. It's a little fiddly because you have to align the tool up with the chain. It does two functions. You can see on the forward face and on the inner of the rear face, you've got a guide here. And you'd simply, when you want to press the plate on, after you've put the rings on and you've put the supplied lubrication oil in there as well, you try and press this on, and you cannot do it with your fingers. It sits on top really, which makes the job quite fiddly. What you would do then is you would place the tool. Let me show you this a little bit better. I've got the tool set up for riveting actually and not floating. But you set the tool up with this groove, behind the pins at the back there. It sits in nicely, and then you'd flip this round so it's facing that way, and you line the grooves up on the forward facing of the pin. Once you've got the two together, you then slide the bolts through, and then with an adjustable spanner on the rear side there in place, you then turn the Allen heads all the way in, and then you press the plate. The very interesting thing here to use as a guide is how far do you press the plate on to expose the pins. And your own research will tell you if you put these on too tight, then the chain won't flex, and that's not what you want. I'm not sure how you'd recover that situation, but you can see there is a small lip here on both sides, and the instructions say on the back of the packet that basically press them down until this lip on either side marries up with the lip or with the face link on its adjacent chain link. So you press it all the way down, and you keep turning this until the faces lie flush. Then none of this sort of measuring your adjacent links. You don't need to do that, as you see with some other tools. I think Sealy's one, where you have to sort of measure how far you've got to go, which is fine, but it's an added step that you don't really want to keep doing. So measure it up, and sure enough, when it's completely flush, you'll see the pins are protruded sufficiently, and you'll get the flex in the chain. Once you've done that, you'll flip this face around in the configuration that I've got it in now. When with your exposed pins, which will look a little bit narrower than that because I've splayed them out, you'll see on the inside there you've got a pin head, okay, and that pin head is chamfered to basically spread the hollow pin, and all you need to do is press that in sufficiently so it lies flush with the flange, and that's it. It really is straightforward. So, you know, I'm sure you can figure this out yourself, but you put that, you can see the line there. So you place that on the back of the pin that you're going to fix the pin that you're going to splay, and then you put the, obviously you put that, sorry, the focus is dreadful. There you go. You get a rivet. You put the rivet head on the actual pin, and then you keep going. Now be careful here, you don't go too much. And I had 2 or 3 goes at it to see that it was actually flush, because the visibility is not that brilliant. And when you're sort of staring on top here and trying to find, you know, that thing being flush, it isn't that easy. Have a torch handy, have 2 or 3 goes. I took it all apart and I laid this front plate on there completely flush on its own, so that I could see if it was you know, completely flush. So I had 3 goes at it. It's quite a stiff turn. I wouldn't use any tools on it. It says the maximum torque is 20 Newton meters. So if you've got a torque wrench, that's where you're at. But 20 Newton meters, to be honest with you, is a firm twist, and that is all you need. In terms of otherwise, you run the risk then of splitting them, and that is definitely not what you want to do, because then the integrity of that pin you know, can't be guaranteed, and you don't want these things flying off as you're going around the track or on the road, whichever you're used for. In terms of build quality, well, for usability, I would say fiddly, but once you've figured out where you've got to put your fingers and how to hold it in place, it's fine. But I would say a bit fiddly, but I don't know any of these tools that aren't really. You're working in small spaces with a greasy chain. They tell me in the shop it will do 4 or 5 uses, and to be honest with you, for 20 quid that's fine by me. 5 uses, I'd probably get a year's chains out of 5 uses, so for 20 quid, yeah, that's no problem for me. And I guess they only guarantee sort of 4 or 5 usages, because that pin eventually will just go flat and then you won't be able to use it anymore. It's metal. These alley heads, they are a bit soft, I think. But, you know, again, 4 or 5 usages, you'll have that no problem at all. I'm using these Irwin Hexi drivers, and yeah, I mean, they're not expensive. So I would agree, 4 or 5 uses out of that, you know, and as long as you use the tool carefully, I think that represents you know, pretty good value for money. So there you go. I hope the review helps. So if you've got hollow rivet pins, I'd recommend this tool.